Hi everybody, this video today is going to be solely focused on taking an equation and writing it in standard form when we're working with conics. And I've got one example that I want to go through with you. This is going to be focused on the ellipse, but this could also be used in the same context for other conics. Alright, so there are two steps when we're going to be writing an equation in standard form. The first one is going to be that you need to regroup all the x's and the y's together, and then the second step, once you've done that, is to complete the square for each variable. And what that's going to do is have your x's and your y's each in its factored form. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with this example. So here we've got this huge equation that's set equal to 0, and to start it says regroup the x's and y's. So I'm going to go ahead and start by getting all my x's on the left side and all my y's on the right side, and that's going to give us 25x squared plus 250x. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap, and then I'm going to put my y's on the other side, and I'll do that in blue. So I'm going to have 9y squared, or plus 9y squared, and then minus 36y, and then the only other thing is I'm going to move the 436 to the other side because I want all my constants to be on the other side of the equal sign. So equals negative 436. Now I've got it ready for step 2, which is the big step of completing the square. Now we've seen completing the square before, it's just been a little bit since some of you have used it, and so as I go through these steps, if you have a question on a step, make sure you write it down and then ask me in class and I can elaborate or explain a little bit more. We're going to start by completing the square with the x's. To do that, we have to make sure that the number in front of the squared term is a 1. Well, in this case, the number in front of the squared term is a 25, so that means we have to factor out the 25 before we can do anything. I'm going to factor out the 25 from x squared, and I'm also going to factor it out from 250, which would leave me with 10x. And now we are ready to complete the square. And if you remember back when we did completing the square, the main process was to take the b value, which is in front of x, and divide it by 2. So 10, I'm going to do this over here, 10 divided by 2 gets you 5, and then you square that, and that gets you 25. So that's the number that's going to go inside the parentheses. And remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I'm going to take 25 times 25 because we've got that number in front, and we're going to add that number to the other side. So I'm going to add 625 to the right side, and that just keeps our equation balanced. All right? And now I can keep going. I can rewrite this in its factored form. That's kind of the whole point of completing the square, that I can rewrite this as x plus 5 all squared, because 5 plus 5 is 10, and 5 squared is 25. Right, so that takes care of the x's. Then we're going to do the same thing with the y's. Again, the y squared term has to have a 1 in front of it, so I'm going to factor out the 9, and that's going to leave us with y squared and then minus 4y. Leave yourself a little bit of space. Then I'm going to go ahead and divide negative 4 by 2. That's going to get us negative 2, and then when we square that, we're going to get positive 4. So I'm going to have a plus 4 here. And then because I have to multiply those things together, 9 times 4 is 36. So I'm going to add that to the other side. So now we've so far got everything balanced. And then I can go ahead and factor this. So I'm going to have plus 9. And if I factor, remember the trick was whatever term or whatever number you squared, that's the number that you're going to use in your factored form. So I'm going to have y minus 2 all squared. And I can double check. Negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4, and then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. All right? And then the last step is just to simplify the right side of our equation. So we had negative 436 plus 625, and then plus 36 gets us to 25. And now we're almost done because remember, factor or standard form of an ellipse is when it's equal to 1. So what I'm going to do is divide every single side. Let me do this in a different color. By the 225. So if I divide this by 225, the y's by 225, and the x's, I can simplify this all down, and if I reduce, I get x plus 5 all squared over 9, and then if I divide 225 by 9, I'm going to get 25, so I'm going to get y minus 2 squared over 25. And then, of course, 225 divided by 225 is 1. And now it's in standard form. We could go ahead and determine which way the graph open or the ellipse is going to be oriented. So it's going to be vertical in this case because the y has the bigger value. Remember, a is always the larger. And that's it. So get everything grouped, complete the square, and then just make sure your equation's equal to 1. That's it. If you have any questions, let me know.